America is very good at living in the myth of America. You can't train away bias. You can't train away bigotry. He knows that he can step on the line where freedom of speech is, and that the Supreme Court will not slap his hand away.
And those people haven't given Black people reparations. Right. That needs to be addressed. We are living in literal serfdom. This is like a new medieval happening. This impacts everybody in the United States.
They cannot stand us to have anything.
And once they have established this as a precedent, they are going up the chain.
It has nothing to do with the American people.
Nothing.
It's all about power.
What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations, and I'm the host of Epic Conversations, 2020 Best Podcast News Award winner, 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. I also co-host and co-produce the only online show in the world for dads and fathers that is sponsored by Dove Men Plus Care. And as always, I'd like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We are broadcasting live here on April 22nd. My dad would call today in Toronto a day of night. Rainy, dark. That's all it was today. But there's no snow. Thank you. So that's the most important thing. There's no snow in the house. But as always, if you're here for a first time, or you've been here before, you know what time it is. Man, I know there was an old song with a line go, "What time is it?" So let's bring up our two friends. Aisha's not with us today, but LaLa and Jill are. Hello,
Hi.
Ladies. What's going on?
It's going.
What direction?
Oh, I don't know. We're in a heat wave. Well, a little mini heat. It's, we kind of missed spring and just jumped straight into summertime here, as I guess it should be. I don't know. We'll see. I think it was cold back there for you guys, but I don't know. I don't know what's happening on the East Coast.
It's a little chillier. Obviously, we had our spring heat wave already, but it's like gotten chilly, and it's going to stay more, as they say, seasonal for the next little while. So it's not too bad. It was good to get at least 5 or 6 days of sun, but now it's reverted back to cloud and dreary.
Oh, I could use that here. I'm not a big heat person. I don't really like it all that much. But the good thing is I went to see Blondie this week. We saw Blondie, and it was fabulous. Just like that was the best thing that happened this whole week. What a great, iconic legend. She's just the best. She's the best. And, 77 years old and still going strong.
No, wait, where'd she play?
At the Greek Theater.
Oh,
I love the Greek Theater too. It's like such a great place because there's not a bad seat in the house. I just think it's a lovely place with the trees and being outdoors. It's just really nice. And she just killed it. I mean, no auto-tune.
Wow.
No real BVs other than her band. She is just bad, like how she always was. Like she's just no joke. And she puts other younger artists to shame. She really delivered the music. No gimmicks, because everybody's so gimmicky now. I don't even know what their music is about.
Right.
That's what the thing is these days. I saw this one chick, they're all wearing these Gen Z. Some of them are wearing like prosthetics on their face, like aliens.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not about their music. It's like Halloween.
Yep.
It's weird. It's really weird. So to go and see a real show with real musicians who can really play, that was a treat. I was so thankful. My friend Robin flew up from Boston, and she gifted us and said, "Come with me." And we went, and we were like hanging out backstage. It was really nice. It was so wonderful.
How fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. you know, I gotta
be away sometimes and just enjoy something because the world is kind of crazy right now. So you might as well enjoy some things.
Well, you know, I had stopped going to so many places just because of safety issues.
Yes.
You just never know. But I mean, if that's the way we have to live in America, it's really, really sad. It's tragic. I can't say it's turned me around 100%, but I would definitely get out of bed to go see Debbie Harry in anything. I think she's just worth it.
I love her.
Wow, that's
I always wanted to be her more. You know, sorry, that was my girl.
I love her.
You know, a lot of people were like, oh, Marilyn Monroe, but I was like, to be in the blonde club or that was the fabulous part of it, you know, because there is something, and she just had the to really do it. Oh my God, she's fabulous. If you can stream something that she's doing, watch. It's a lesson. And you know what's so great with those kind of singers? Like, they've been singing things so long that their styling is so good that they can go in and out. They're not reaching for notes they used to sing when they were 20, but they're even better now. It's phenomenal. Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. Were you in Portugal?
No. Are there any other concerts you're?
What happened?
Is there a delay somewhere?
No. There's a delay somewhere here. LaLa, Joe was asking, were you in Portugal?
Yes. I went to go look at some more properties and get them ready to go online. And the weather there is beautiful. But all this traveling has got me feeling kind of cootie fat. A little cootie fat. I'm tired too, because the time changes. So back and forth. But I have about 4 or 5 new properties that I'll be putting on.
Nice. Really, really nice.
So I'm tired of that place. Nobody, not me.
No, I might have to try to scrape some money together and get my ass over there.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Just out of curiosity, LaLa, have you been in touch with Divine Right?
Oh yes, we've been talking on Instagram.
Good. Because on my morning show yesterday, she was asking about how do you become an international realtor, or can you buy if you're in America, can you buy property internationally? I said, go to your CD and 8 tracks, lady, please.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that's right. That was a great show. By the way, if you guys didn't check that show out, you should check it out. Yeah. But you can.
No, so expect to hear something from her in the next few days, reaching out to you, asking questions about that.
Sure.
I know there's a few countries that don't want us to, that started to push Americans out. It's because there was an article that just came out a little bit disturbing the other day that said that countries are no longer wanting our dollars. They're not buying.
Yes. There's a group of countries led by, of course, China
and Russia.
And Russia are trying to rally against kicking out the U.S. dollar as a currency of trade worldwide.
No, and they already told them to get rid of the U.S. dollar. They literally said, "Get rid of it. We don't want it here. Get rid of it." Right. But places like Portugal, Spain, Italy, they are still very open. And believe it or not, you can buy property without having a D7. I mean, you can buy property worldwide, but Portugal at one time
without having a what?
Without having a D7.
Right.
No visa.
What's a D7?
Right.
The visa.
Right.
And so that's doing very, well. And they had a great program called the Golden Visa for people who could come and retire. And they were thinking about getting rid of it, but the actual cities of Portugal were like, we want that money.
Oh, they want it. Okay. Mm-hmm. One place we can't retire is Australia unless you have a ton of money, and they don't want you if you're over 35. Not really, but if you are over 35, you better have a lot of freaking money. Yeah.
Yep, they do look at all of that.
You're part of the Commonwealth. You could probably do it. But Americans, no, they're not looking for
they don't want us.
Dubai is another place. You're not Americans, or they can be an expat as long as they want, but you cannot retire there.
No.
And they're trying, they want to change the law, but it has something to do with their religion a little bit. But yeah, people are spending all these young years there, but for tax purposes and stuff, they don't want, you have to have a ton of money because they don't want people living off of their national health care that they have.
Okay.
All of them are like that. That's why.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I get it. Well, and I think this is becoming an increased conversation here in Canada because the Canadian government, I think, over the next, I don't know if it's the 5 years or next few years, wants to have 400,000 new immigrants come into the country.
Is that right?
Well, they better be very selective about
That's what I say. I would make it plain, like make it strict.
Exactly. I know. I
Oh,
mean, we're about to have, you know, the freaking National Guard in San Francisco to deal with the drug problems and dealers. I mean, it's gotten so bad that, you know, and that has, you know, no offense. I mean, there were people who've, you know, it's so funny. The people going in and out of the borders happen to be American, by the way, that they're noticing. People are like, it's people coming for, but the people that they keep catching at the borders, smuggling all this in, are citizens of America. So it's, you know, they've got to go in and, you know, clean them out, get rid of them.
I hear you. Well, before we start getting into the heat of the conversation, Jen Myers. Hello, Jen Myers.
Hello.
Saying it's rainy and cold here in Cleveland.
Nice. I like that.
Nice. Black Beauty says, hey, family.
Hey, yeah.
Yes. And Black Beauty says, yes, I'm 100. How about you? Okay. Actually, and it's funny, people think, oh, nothing much happens in Canada. Well, this week in Canada at the Toronto National Airport, I don't know if anyone heard this, that there was a container that was stolen that had contents including gold that is worth $20 million.
I hear that.
Who did it belong to? Did they not say?
Well, they're not releasing a lot, but it was like, and people are saying this has got to be an inside job. But the thing is, it was they're like, you have the main airport facility, and then there's other facilities adjacent to the airport. Like was a third party holding, but $20 million heist.
So $20 million heist of gold bars of gold.
Mostly gold, yeah.
So it's from a bank. That's pretty wild.
Wow, that's crazy.
And they don't get to keep it. Darn.
Yeah.
They almost got away with it. But wonder what they were going to do with it to take it to the airport. They were trying to fly it somewhere? They're only releasing a little bit of the information, obviously. Yes, of course. Or it was somebody flying some of it in there. I mean, who knows?
You never know.
Very, very, very interesting story. But especially if you're watching live, give us comments like you always do. And if you're watching for the first time, hit the comments. We've got a lot to converse about today. A lot. Like when we first started digging up commentary stuff, it wasn't much. And then like in the last 15 minutes, there was at least 2 more. And who knows, there may be more on top of that. And again, if anyone is wondering, Aisha is not with us tonight. She is in NOLA.
Yes.
And I hope she put her beignet on.
Yes, New Orleans and
bring some hurricanes.
New Orleans and Louisiana. So we're going to do our best to make it a good conversation. Well, we're going to do our best. But this was one of the key big stories, especially over the last week in America. 84-year-old is charged in shooting a black teenager who went to the wrong house.
He didn't just shoot him. He was trying to kill him. Okay. Like there's a thing of just shooting. Okay. But no, my man shot him in the head and then proceeded to shoot him in the arm, and said that he felt threatened. His grandson has since come out and talked about how his grandfather is racist. But the thing that bothers me the most about this, and there's a whole lot of things that bother me the most about this, but the fact that this young kid went to 3 different houses for help And no one helped him. And someone made him get on the ground and put his hands over his head like they were the police. This whole thing is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. And you're talking about a good kid that is excellent in school, loves music, you know, is taking college courses, has had Yale contact him 3-4 times to come in, all because he was going to check up get his little brothers. Y'all, we're too gun happy. And we are at the point now, because he's not the only one in this past week that has happened. There was 2 other young ladies who made mistakes.
Yes.
There was a guy who shot a family, actually.
Yes.
A black man who
I forgot about that.
A white family. So, and that was, you know, I don't know if it's retaliatory. That felt a little retaliatory, or just meant just like, you know what, y'all going to shoot our kids, we're going to shoot yours.
Yes.
So I don't know, did they catch the guy? I don't know if they did.
I haven't heard if they did or not.
Yeah.
But this is what I'm saying. These all happened back to back to back to back. These are all the states that are just giving people guns. And then,
well, they're gearing up for a civil war. That is what they really want. They're really trying to make sure their people are armed.
Yes.
And overarmed. It's kind of obvious to see that that's what they're pushing, because there's 2 guys that I follow. I can't even think of their names on the Instagram, TLGY or something, Jason Selvik or whatever. I can't get his name together, but he always interviews like man on the street stuff with people. And he asked 2 guys, like, don't you think that with all these children being hurt by these guns, that you would think that we, you know, should go in and put some different things on our amendments and all this stuff? And they said no. He goes, no. even if you know it would protect children, he goes, no. And in fact, you know, it is just a mindset where we are in. And, you know, so as Democrats, then maybe we're all going to just have to start flooding and going and buying guns too, because that will scare them. We're going to have to do what happened when the Panthers started arming our neighborhoods.
Yes.
And then they got scared.
Yes.
Then all the white people went nuts because they were surprised. In theory, they were fine thinking that we just shoot each other.
Right.
But they got a little shook when you go, hang on a minute. Yeah, okay, it's on. So there's only so much you can do after a while before you just finally go, okay, well, we got to take a different road.
Yeah.
Because these people still have their guns. We can pass a law. Joe Biden could sign to ban these things, but these people are still going to have ownership of them. They want a race war. They want it. They want the Civil War again, and they'll lose again. Those, sorry to say, you'll lose again, because they just will, because, you know, that's it. But they could do something with the ammunition. They could make it impossible to get. Yes. I don't know. They could really work on that. They could try all sorts of things, different angles. But yeah, we're at a real impasse, because when you talked about the boy trying to get help in the neighborhood, that's a real dark reflection of where we are. Yeah. Someone was talking about a Black girl who was in some of the outreaches in Texas. She went to visit, you know, silly, thinking that she would be immune to the racism. She started going to gas stations. She started to really experience the heckling, and see these little Gen Z kids in the cities. They have not experienced this.
No, they have not.
Neither have Gen Xers really. They are out. They were out in full force in these regions, and they are almost creating their own sundown towns again. So y'all better be on alert. So yeah, if the gun thing's not going to work one way, then arm up, suit up, let it happen.
But ladies, an 84-year-old.
Oh, he's an idiot. You know what?
Ways anyway. Most of those people like that are already set in their ways of not liking us in the first place. He saw an excuse and he took it, and he thought he was going to get away with it.
And he lied.
And
he lied and said that the boy was pounding on his door, not a stitch of DNA on his door. The boy just rang the doorbell. The interesting thing is this jumped out, shot him, opened his own screen door, went up close range and shot him. By a miracle of God,
yes,
is the only reason that this kid is alive to tell the story.
He still has fragments in his brain.
Yeah.
And the doctors and nurses actually said they have no idea why
he's still alive.
Living.
It's true. And so if that doesn't tell you that God is watching people, they better, somebody the other day told me I was worshiping Lucifer. I said, like, you're on the wrong side. I said, you couldn't be more on the wrong side. And come and say that to my face. I'm not trying to take my broke to heaven. Y'all, I ain't even trying, because the heaven that you all are creating is, I don't feel worthy of heaven. I would never be so presumptuous. You got to earn that stuff. These people are so lazy. They think if they just say, I believe in Jesus Christ, whatever, right before they do some of the most dastardly things, that they get to go. Well, honey, I'm sorry. If that's what it's full of, I really don't want to be there.
Right.
Let me just go, because these people are coming very close to how we had the Salem witch trials and yelling at people and look what Christianity has done in the African culture right now. We've got people in the LGBTQ community trying to flee Uganda. Why? Because stupid puritanical evangelical heads went down there and indoctrinated people with a bunch of the whole interesting thing I have to say is, can we just go and tax the churches now? Tomorrow. I am so tired of it. When people like Kanye West and Kris Jenner and them toy around with being pastors, get the fuck out of here. Tax them now. We don't need this. We don't need this anymore. Their righteousness. All these people.
Well, that's what people do. They run to that as a shelter because they know
it's a tax shelter.
It's complete shelter. Now,
thank you. Jesus doesn't mean a thing to them. Nothing. He is exploited. And you know what? The truth of the matter is, if that doesn't come to fruition soon, in about 30 years, it won't exist. People will have given up, because that whole faith thing and believing in Jesus, if that doesn't resolve itself, it will be something like a fairy tale book and totally put away.
All right. Okay. So Jill, Jen is giving you standing ovations. And Regina says, yes, tax the churches.
It's time. Dems need to be getting a bill together tomorrow. Y'all want to fuck around with us, evangelicals? Here you go. We're going to tax them. It's not enough that we've had to endure the disgusting pedophilia from, every church. It's not just the Catholics. They're all done it. And you got to sit and think, what kind of twisted representation of Christianity is this? And why is everybody trying to protect it? Because for me, it's proof, and has always been proof, that it's been satanic from day one, that Lucifer has been running the Christian church from day freaking one. He exploited it. If you believe in the Bible, I'm sorry. You got to check your churches carefully.
Yes, you do.
Carefully. And not everybody in there is a good egg.
I want to ring back into the main topic here. So this 84-year-old, what should happen to him?
He should be put away forever and spend the rest of his life in jail. End of story.
Exactly.
We should just euthanize him. Just euthanize him. He's of no use. This is a person who couldn't have been tortured sitting at home watching TV. Take his TV away from him. Take away his phone. These people are idiots. And when you have places like in Texas that are holding monuments of an oak tree that used to be legendary for lynchings, and when you have Fox TV sitting up there, I mean, it's kind of like they incite hatred. And somebody needs to sit Rufus Murdoch or Rupert or whatever that name is and have a long talk with him.
Talking's over, Jill. Ain't no talking. I mean, that man has already done his damage, and doesn't matter if he is taken out tomorrow or he passes away tomorrow. He's done his damage. He's left the legacy to follow, and there's nothing we can do about that.
Disgusting. I can't even look at Jerry Hall like a human being anymore, because to go off with that was like, "You're disgusting, little." You know, that's disgusting. It's unforgivable.
Mm-hmm.
And, you know, he's definitely in bed with the Chinese because he has his Chinese ex-girlfriend or wife or whatever and her Chinese kids. You know, the allegiances in all of that, and the fact that we as a country need more legislation on the rich. They need to be taxed up the wazoo, and they also, some of them need to be revoked and stopped from entering the country. Because this is when, actually, in a weird way, I wish Joseph McCarthy was here.
All right. Well, we will see what, I'm sure eventually there'll be a trial, and they'll be very interesting. We'll see what's.
I mean, why were the Rosenbergs killed for spying? Why? I mean, honestly, at this point, why did they take those two people's lives? Because Trump and his cronies and Roger Stone, Bannon, they did far worse than anything than Ethel Rosenberg and her. Nothing. It's all in vain. In fact, family members should sue the United States for that, because they don't keep it 100.
Okay.
Well, before you pass on, let's say this too, Dr. Vibe. My man is home. Okay.
Yeah.
He turned himself in. He paid his little bond. And he's back home because legally he only had to pay 10% of that. Okay. So you better bet that the people who believe in everything that he believes into are also rallying around him. But I will say that I was very happy to see that this young man's school and all the people that love him really rallied around him and really called for justice, because here's what we didn't say. This would not have been national news if it wasn't fed by the grassroots. If we didn't pass it all along to one another behind the scenes, this would not have been a national news thing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it'll be very interesting to see if and when there's ever a trial. It'll be very interesting to hear what this man says the version of the story is compared to the truth. You know, I guess supposedly in America, you're innocent until proven guilty. So will be interesting. So let's catch up a little bit here. Cinnamon Canella says, good evening, everyone. Good evening, Cinnamon. And Regina says, by the way, highly recommend the FX documentary Dear Mama about Afina and Tupac Shakur.
On my list.
All right. All right. So the family is here. Let's go to our next conversation, because I knew nothing about this till it was brought up in our back channel today.
LaLa.
Why China's police state has a precinct near you? Educate me, folks, please.
Off the street. They're snatching people off the street who are talking against their government, and they're doing it with and even in LA. There's one in LA. There's, you know, of course now
they're in London,
where they are, but they're in major states. They're snatching people that are talking against their government as usual, and then they have nerve enough to turn around and tell our government stay out of it because it's none of their business, of our business, because they're running their country the way they need to run it. Well, you're on our land, our soil. You don't get to do that. So you better bet that this is going to turn into a whole lot bigger story. This was just released today.
So you're telling
they're pretending to be advocacy groups as well. Don't forget what they did with the Chinese tennis player who she spoke out about abuse, and then they just go missing, or different performers, but they're abducting them here and not just here. They have them in London.
Do they have the right? Do they have the Do they have the right to do that?
I don't know what the law is. No. But
no, and why should the Communist Chinese Party have any kind of why? If that means that none of their people could have a safe asylum if they were ever trying to get away from their country, because they basically have assassins here to take care of them. So this is probably not the only country that's been doing that. You know, they probably have Russians doing it as well. But we have to do we need to house clean America. It's not just the Mexicans coming across the border that people need to actually fear. These are people who now have data that we know they've been collecting from TikTok and different things. And God only knows what they are going to be doing. Now they're taking their people, but this is like they're set up to get rid of people, to eliminate people here in America. They're set up to get rid of people and possibly have a genocide at some point. If they can destroy our economy and our money, I hate to sound paranoid, but they're here. So why are you having them sitting on your freaking doorstep and entertaining them? Ship them back. Get rid of the advocacy groups. It's not, they're looking for all those people with facial recognition technologies. They're using these things that we actually have some privacy laws in other states that they're going against, but they're here. And I
don't see how they're justified, because they're doing this on foreign soil.
This story just broke.
It just broke. So we really don't know how this egg is going to crack. But
so they're actually abducting people on American soil.
They are. And the people who get away from it, or they let release, they're so afraid to speak out because they think that if they say anything at all, not only will they be punished, but that people back home in China their families are going to be punished as well. And they will.
Well, it could be, that they've been threatening some of our Congress people. We don't know. Our Congress people act strange. We don't really know. No. Merrick Garland's been acting squirrely the whole time he's been in office. Has he been threatened? I mean, is his family under it? What the hell is going on?
Right.
The same with the FBI. What has happened? Because it's just some of the stuff's not making sense. We've had some of the greatest legal minds who've gone to some of the best colleges, and even they're baffled by the behavior.
What am I seeing? 24 in reality? The series 24 in reality?
Why not? They manifested it. They saw the script, and there was no, I don't really believe what they are saying that, all this can be created just like a script. Don't forget Mnuchin. Steve Mnuchin was an actual film producer. So he was investing in scripts to get made, to create, to prime people, lube them up for these concepts. And what's so interesting is that people can see it happening and go, oh, wow, that's really crazy. Because now they're in a process of manifestation of it. Look at RFK, Robert Kennedy Jr.
Oh my God, yes.
He's a freak. And yet he's hanging out with Steve Bannon, Roger Stone, all these people.
And gearing up to run.
And he's gearing up to run as a Democrat. These people their ambition knows no bounds. It also knows no party. This is about destroying the whole fundamental concept of America. It's frightening with conspiracy theories. And here's the rub. They are manifesting the conspiracies. The only thing is somebody needs to ask that. So did you see your cousin JFK Jr. the other day at the last QAnon festival? Because Robert Kennedy needs to be put on the carpet. First of all, I can't stand his voice. It's like paper. It's like like a chalkboard with the nails going down. Just for that alone, he should never be allowed to hold any kind of public office.
Well, and then he's pretending to be a Democrat. The whole thing is
Yes, he's an awful human being.
Awful. He's just absolutely awful and does not stand for anything that is
I think he's a sociopath. I think he's a sociopath.
Yeah.
He's another one.
Like I'm China is arresting people in the United States.
Yes.
I just want like 5 seconds of quietness.
I mean, they should be on a plane right now, loaded up and sending them back. There just should be, but they're not.
Nope.
They've been here for a while and they've done damage. And, it was getting bad when they were coming here with their anchor baby stuff, because that was going on like a little 5 years before COVID. When I was doing real estate, they were coming here buying, but they also made sure to come at 7 months with their babies,
That's
which
right.
You don't typically. And here's the thing. Hey, border control, people shouldn't be allowed to fly here at 7 months. Sorry, you can't. If you're going to bitch about abortion pills and all this other stuff, these Russian women flying over here to have their babies at 7 months, 8 months, 9 months, inducing their labors while they're here to have anchor babies, enough. because Florida's full of Russian anchor babies. And China, they started to have these concierge groups that orchestrated it.
Mhm.
They rent houses, and then they're here for this duration, and they never really know at the border when they come in. Then you start to see the pattern, and then they buy something. Then they typically buy a lot of property, and they own a lot of corporate properties now and have been raising the rents to where people. I saw an old woman today who was about 80 years old, driving an old car like from the 1950s or 60s. All of her belongings were in the car at the supermarket parking lot. Her car, the exhaust was so bad, I was coughing. She was trying to buy, there were plastic bags all the way up to the ceiling, and she literally lives in that car. It was not a mistake. We had another guy the other day in that parking lot, got stopped by the police. They saw shell casings on his seat when they stopped him. He drove really fast, just kept driving, and then he went into the parking lot and blew his brains out. People are really struggling in America.
All right, let's come back. Let's come back to this whole China situation, though. Like, still just like I'm just images of the series 24, like back with Kiefer Sutherland is just ringing in my mind here.
Well, we know that the spies are here, but this is like they have legit spies, and we knew that from Eric Swalwell, the congressman or senator who had his situation with one of the spies. They are here, and always.
But Jill and LaLa, I'm reading this article. The Department of Justice indictment of 2 Chinese citizens this week for using the unlawful Chinese police station in Manhattan to go after dissidents.
Yes.
Highlights the growing tentacles of Beijing's overseas operations, which it uses to harass and silence critics around the world.
They don't want their secrets.
They're not just here. They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. We know that they found some in London. They found some in Switzerland. They found them they're there.
And bold about it. That's the thing. Just being bold about it. Like, and now with all this BRIC stuff going on, you better expect
another country coming in Manhattan.
They're adversarial and they're subverting. You think that January 6th was bad? What's really going on is they are uprooting and dismantling this country.
Yes.
They are bit by bit. And I honestly don't believe that America will survive this.
No, I don't either.
And I think people in about 25 years, this place is going to be a real, and people are going to be sitting around starving, hungry, and people are going to love to see the great America like this. Because the only thing is now we have to worry where they've infiltrated possibly our army, our military people, because we have taken many dissidents who came in and they've become very important to our intelligence community, all of that. But Donald Trump let a lot of them live in his building, so there was that too.
In Manhattan.
I'm really not surprised because, see, Dr. Bob, here's what the thing is. When you want to do something, you don't always do it in the dark. Where people are not going to look is in the light. So they're going to be putting themselves in this light, and they're not going to be, oh, that's a normal thing. What building is that? Oh, what they doing in there? Oh, okay. Everything is behind this massive smoke screen of everything, and there's so much going on in the world right now that you can't even pay attention to one thing. Y'all hear me say it all the time, but I truly believe it. You got so many things spinning around that you can't even see what's before you. Is that really a spinning cow? You don't know. But they're doing this in the light of the day. That's what's very frightening to me, in the fact that they don't care. Their response to us was, mind your business. Whoa, right. You on my land. Mind your business.
I have to read some more from this article. This is amazing stuff. Security agencies across Europe and the Americas are investigating more than 100 facilities that an advocacy organization exposed in September as overseas outposts of China's security apparatus. In the U.S., that includes at least 2 others besides the one targeted this week. Also, The stations provide civilian cover for Chinese government operations deemed too risky for official Chinese diplomats to pull off. They provide toeholds in neighborhoods with large ethnic Chinese and Asian communities. The Manhattan facility was in Chinatown that allowed these operatives to function with relative anonymity.
You know how they have so much control. You know, they own a lot of real estate, a lot of those people down there, because the Chinese progressively started buying up and moving the Italians out. You know, it's a very interesting thing. This has been established for a long time.
Yeah,
okay.
I'm not trying to say that people shouldn't have their own communities, but there's a part of me that really believes that when you come here, maybe there's some things you need to leave behind. I just am starting to feel like, you know, the assimilation button, because I also feel like people want to make money. And even looking back at the war and what happened in World War II and whatever, people weren't that patriotic. A couple $100,000 made many people very rich and traitors to their nation, and they never caught them. And they still exist today here.
Well, okay. So, and one of the things that Jill always asks, or the ladies always ask, Dr. Vibe, what's about this in Canada? So from this article, Safeguard Defenders have reported 4 such locations in the Toronto area, 3 in the Vancouver area, and 2 more founded unlisted in Montreal area. And allegations last month that Beijing meddled in Canada's federal elections in 2019 and 2021 have made China's potential malign activities in the country a hot button issue. The Royal Canadian Mounted Police has since begun a nationwide investigation into foreign interference following the report's findings, including into the Wenzhou Friendship Society in British Columbia. Now, this is an interesting point right here. Canada, unlike the United States, doesn't force foreign agents to register with the government, but amid growing calls for change following the recent bombshell reports of China's alleged interference, Canada's Public Safety Minister Marco Mendicino has announced that the Liberal government has started consultations running until early May to consider establishing its own registry system.
I think that China and Russia have taken advantage of the fact of all these old established countries in Europe and Canada and America, based upon the bureaucracy and how slow and long it takes for anything to change here. I mean, the day they all saw a balloon flying around from China and they were spying was the day you go and call an emergency meeting and say, we're going to change this law. And a story, hands down, by hook or crook. You know, if you don't like it, get the fuck out. That's it. Because that is something that, you know, sadly, a hard head makes a soft behind. These countries are going to learn the actual hard way. And what's ultimately happening is South Korea has been sounding the alarm for a long time. You know that he is coming, the prime minister is coming to meet Biden like tomorrow or the next couple of days, because he is saying, yo, I want my own nukes because I don't even know if I can trust you guys anymore to have my back. We've been telling you that North Korea, China, all of them are busybodies and doing some stuff, and it's making us a little bit, the chatter that they're hearing. These are people who still live by honor codes and rules and honor, and they have something that Americans don't have. They have a vision of how they see their dream. Russia has it too.
Well,
Americans are give me $1 billion and it's all yours.
Like China has their 100-year plan, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Yes. So
can you imagine how you keep that in your people's mind's eye? I mean, you know, here it's like they're here even in Chinatown. And to be honest, the allegiance, in my opinion, in New York's Chinatown, it certainly wasn't America. The allegiance was China.
Okay.
Same here too.
All right. Let's move on to our next conversation piece. California Attorney General Bonta leads states calling for a recall of theft.
Before we go on, the last time we had stuff like this happening, we threw people in internment camps, okay? So wise up. This is serious, and the government needs to take care of it.
California.
Okay. All right. So, California Attorney General Bonta leads states in calling for a recall of theft-prone Hyundai and Kia vehicles. Jill, you brought this to the platform. Chat about it.
I think is rather exciting because the AG in California, we've had upticks, of course, with crime and all of this stuff, and I really feel like Newsom has probably put his foot in somebody's behinds lately, because we do have he's running for something. We need to just pay attention, but we've got the National Guard coming to deal with a lot of the crime stuff. We also know with this AG, we've had a lot of catalytic converters stolen.
What?
Particularly, yeah.
Yeah.
And so people are having to pay like $3,000, and there was even a challenge.
Why? Okay, hold on a second. Why are people seeing catalytic converters?
Because they're drug addicts, and they're for fentanyl. Yeah. There's so many cameras, and it's actually a lot of white folks doing it. This is like they're having a moment. Okay. It's big. It's wiping out tons of them. Anyway, I mean, there's some black folks, but apparently they're doing a lower grade of fentanyl, something that, I don't even know what that one's called. But anyway, the deal is it merged into, Americans think everything is funny, even at the expense of their neighbors or other people being hurt by something. We have a very sick, isolated, polarizing society.
Yes, we do.
And so basically, Hyundai and Kia disregarded putting their safety measures on their cars. They've known that there's these couple of fixes that they could have done that would have prevented these thefts. They're very fast. People were started to film them on TikTok, and it's a competition. It's a competition. Now, a friend of mine told me he saw that his neighbor had been stealing catalytic converters in his neighborhood. Like they drove around in the ring, because people now have all these things on there. This is why it's crazy. There's so many people who have rings and cameras to identify people doing it, but the justice system and stuff is falling off. It's like, okay, they need to be picked up. So back to the point about this is, so he wants to recall these theft-prone cars because it's basically created a supply chain problem, because these things cost like $3,000. A lot of people don't have them. The noise pollution, and it's just too easy to get them. So he wants the feds to come in and mandate that these two car companies have to go in and provide the fix and do a recall nationally across the board, because this is something that could have been prevented, because all it's done is create a feeding frenzy and made a lot of people rich, including the dealers. So Kia and Hyundai basically knew about this and decided, we're going to do this so we can make extra money. And that's why. And it's legit. They've known about it. So this corporation needs to have their handed to them, because they did it on purpose.
Wow.
I have at least 4 friends, no joke, in LA, 4 friends in LA that have had their catalytic converters stolen.
Yeah. And it's done so fast. So that is, and the fact is they make more money. If somebody has to keep coughing up close to $5,000 each time, these dealerships are making money. So it was a fix. So you're either looking at a class action lawsuit, which I like what he's about to do right now much more, which is recall. And I love that he's trying to reach into nationally, which would be great, because it is happening everywhere. It's horrible. These are tough times.
Okay, so I'm just going to jump in here. I'm just doing a little research online while we're having this part of the conversation. So I'm just going to quote some of from a story this goes back to 2021, Global News, which is a Canadian news outlet. Why are thieves across Canada stealing catalytic converters?
Copper and gold in it.
So the price of replace. Yeah. I'm just reading quick here. Okay. So if people don't know, catalytic converters have been widespread in North American vehicles since the 1970s. Their purpose is to make car exhausts, to make car exhaust from internal combustion engines are less toxic, converting substances such as carbon monoxide, nitric oxide, nitrogen oxide, and hydrocarbons into less harmful carbon dioxide and water available. So the metals, platinum, palladium, and rhodium are what these are after.
Very precious.
Palladium went from about $200 US an ounce 12 years ago to nearly $2,300 US an ounce.
Yeah.
By comparison, the price of gold rose apparently from $1,100 to over $1,700 in the same period. Then there's rhodium. It's worth just over $1,100 US an ounce into 2019. Now it's more valued more than $26,000 an ounce.
Right.
So this is quoted from a Canadian story back in 2021. And as there's a quote here, that's why some of these organized crime groups and individuals are trying to get their hands on them, said the Insurance Bureau's representative guest. So this is, I knew nothing about this.
Yeah, it's terrible. So
like catalytic converters.
I know, because who would think? Like, like me personally, I don't mean to laugh at it, but I'm like, who the hell comes up with this stuff? Like, all of a sudden we're going to steal catalytic converters. It's just so random.
Yeah, they're not stealing them to sell them. They're stealing them to get the precious metals, and then they're just a hunk of junk sitting on the side of a building.
They're selling them, just on the black market.
Everywhere. Yeah.
Okay. So, Regina, I think that answers your question here. Who do they sell the catalytic converters to? Also on the black market. As I just quoted, the prices for those metals, are very high. So there's got to be a buyer somewhere.
Yeah, and there is a black market in all of that where you can buy screws from a Boeing 727. You can buy jeans that have the sometimes they're counterfeit, and they'll have the certificates. You can buy eggs. You can buy all these things in the black market. And sad to say, most of the people who are running that black market are ex-military.
So I'm quoting.
We saw that in.
You're talking. They deliver platform. What do they call pallets of this stuff? These are big deals that go around. Yeah. So, like, there were a few airplane issues with one of those planes, I believe, and one of the issues was that the screws that were on one Boeing somewhere a few years ago weren't the right ones. So that's when people are delving into the black market. And sadly, greed is the one thing that.
Well, there we go. There we go right there. So
our civilization is at stake just because of the mindset of the people here. They're just not good enough to be on this planet.
Well, I'm just reading another story here written by Rick Cotta back in February 2022 from a site called cars.com, and just quoting part of his story here, saying the rise in the price of converters, three valuable metals, results in a higher cost for the converter itself, and the higher values for converters as scrap, as the metals can be recovered and sold. As a result, junkyards are more actively collecting catalytic converters, and some companies have sprung up that will purchase converters sent to them. While the value of a given converter varies tremendously, some figures seen in ads from, quote, mail them to us, unquote, companies range from about $1,400 to a whopping $1,500. The increase in value has prompted thieves to steal catalytic converters, often cutting them out from under a car parked right on the street. So junkyards. So there's another answer to your question. That's another place that's buying them. So Jen saying here, we've had this issue here too. Don't even want to park them in my own driveway, right in the garage.
That's right. Yeah, my four friends in LA, all of that was right in their driveway.
My friend in Sacramento, it's the same. It's like.
So this builds on a story that I heard this week. Actually, had told me I went into a local store that I go into all the time, and I noticed at the back of the store, it's a hardware store, smaller hardware store. All the spray cans were locked up.
They've been doing that here.
They've been doing it for a while.
Well, but one of the person on the floor said, like, why is your spray cans locked up? He said, over the weekend, different use. It must have been a group stole 80 cans of spray paint.
They want to tag the city. Is that what it is?
I guess
like
so.
Graffiti artists.
Yes.
These kids aren't even talented enough to be graffiti artists.
Yeah, but no, they're still huffing that, guys.
I know.
They're still huffing that.
But 80 cans.
God,
I'm still trying. It hasn't left my brain yet.
Yeah.
80 cans of spray paint. They're stole collectively by this group. Obviously, it was an organized group over a weekend.
Yeah, I mean, it's
the more as I said to Jill before we started live tonight, the more I know, the less I understand.
Right.
Let's move to our next story. Tennessee lawmaker who called for the ouster of 3 Democrats resigns after violating her harassment policy.
So happy.
Oh, so Jill had something to clap about today.
He knew what his role was. He knew he needed to resign. But I feel like he's not done. I feel like he'll just go into the weeds and swamp. And, these people are domestic terrorists. You know that. It's so scary to think that we have catalytic converters being stolen. And I sometimes start to get weird thinking like, are they all building things and such disruptors? Like, what is this trend? Like, are these people going to be like bombing the hell of it? Because they're getting precious metals and materials and there's nothing that's going to stop them. It's like a contagion that's happening. And yes, he resigned, but LaLa, like I said, I don't know. They're just ready to go down with the ship fighting.
I mean, and they're doing it so well.
They really are.
I mean, and they don't seem to mind because somebody's there to catch them. But here's the thing. This cracks me up in the fact that after all of this, then the committee talks about, well, we've been researching him for a long time. No, you haven't. No, you haven't. He threw rocks at a glass house and you see what happened. It came right back at him. But he's not the only one on the board. There's another one who's having an affair with the governor's wife.
I know.
What?
It gets worse and worse.
So y'all talking about, it's just unbelievable how you feel like you are so privileged and that nothing can ever touch you. You don't stink, and it will never come back on you. And I'm here to see it. I'm here to see this ship go down.
Yeah.
Wow, he's having an affair with.
Now this is not the same guy. This is another one. Okay, so that because they did this, people are digging into their past. People are like, oh, you want to be dirty? We're going to see how much dirt we can get on you. 9 times out of 10, that everybody has some kind of dirt. They're going to find it on you.
Wow.
Yeah.
America's in civil war.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not like when we are in it, and it's a slow erosion, and it's really, really pretty horrible.
Regina says, "So privileged, so Christian." Oh my goodness. Do we want to say anything else in this story? I think this was a quickie.
It is a quickie, but I'm gonna tell you what. Watch everybody else who helped vote them out. They all agree to have some dirt in the news too. So watch closely.
I thought I had some notes on this that I wanted to say, but I can't remember at the moment what I was thinking of saying. I just think that what worries me the most with the way that Republicans kind of converge on a topic or whatever. And the only person that I've been loving how his pushback is Dan Goldman. Like, I think if Gavin Newsom runs, I would love for him to make Goldman his VP. And maybe, but I mean, I would even take Dan Goldman running for president. I think he's amazing, but because he's starting to be he's the smartest in the room. He's definitely a brilliant attorney. But he's also scrappy and he knows how to throw it out first and get scrappy, sort of how Jamie Raskin could do, when his gloves came off. Because what it is now is that you've got to anticipate what these monsters are going to do. And if they've already gone for the with the abortion pill, the drug mifepristone, just know that, with a federal ban of them wanting to take it nationally, just know they're going to come for the hormones next. And that's going to affect women on such a broad level. You've got big pharma very concerned about these new FDA changes. And once they got wind, the GOP, that they were able to destabilize all of that, it could be any drug that they don't think people should have.
That's right.
It could be a sickle cell drug. It could be anything that white people in America who are white supremacists and fighting for more power are willing to undermine and destroy and unearth. But so it's time that all Democrats get on board. I'm really surprised the squad is so quiet. It's like they all fell asleep. It's like I can see what's her face, but they're all getting ready to go back. They got to get voting, but I need to see them fighting. I need to see this and I need some scrappy stuff again but I also am starting to feel like they might be fatigued and tired, because this battle is going to get harder. And they were coming.
Look at their ages, Joe. This is what I'm saying. Let's go back to the truth of the matter. They need to have terms. You cannot be like Feinstein up there at 90 years old, screwing up everything.
I know.
No, I'm sorry. You got to go. You got to go. If they're tired, then you need to step aside and let the next generation who is ready to scrap do what they need to do.
I agree, because the problem for me is that Clarence Thomas is still in, and his wife Jenny. But this is why this is so bad, because Tennessee proved the people stood there, and there had to be so many people to come out and say, you're not going to do this to us. But all of America doesn't do that enough, because Clarence Thomas shouldn't be there. That should be a scandal. It should not have cooled off. They should have never let up on his. And Judge Alito, it should have never, the pedal coming off of your foot off the pedal, never. Keep the car going. And really, I don't know any of these idiots in Congress or the Senate and the Dems. Have y'all played football? I don't even play football, but I'm saying get a strategy going. Get it. Hammer. Have a big freaking Zoom call and go, Betty, Sally, James, Tom, y'all gonna hit here. I mean, it's war. Act like it. Act like it with legislation. You come hard every day. I mean, and the media doesn't help because
doing us a disservice.
And the media doesn't help because they keep stirring the pot. It's like the only one who's doing a really great job for me is Ari Melber, because he's gone after some people on live TV, these attorneys, and he's setting them up. But then the Dems come in like, oh yeah, Dianne Feinstein had shingles and she's still going to keep her job. Bye. What don't you get?
Go.
Hey,
I don't know. I that's just, to me, that's the only
She's
answer.
destroyed her whole legacy. She's another RBG for me, who I'm sorry, I didn't go too crazy with Ginsburg, because I was a little salty about, like, this bitch is going to stay at the fair too long. You know, it's like, really? There's so much ego in this part of it. And we don't need the egos. We need y'all to come correct, get together and get that team going. We need a hit. And I love these guys from Tennessee.
Oh, I do too.
So Regina says, I have money on Newsom running for president 2024. His recent visit to Florida cemented my hopes.
I hope so. He's the only one I'll give money to, and Gallego to get rid of that Kristen Sinema.
And then Regina says the squad has PTSD dealing with current craze in the house. Mm-hmm. And then Jen says, everyone watch your license plates too. Spectrum News here in Ohio did a story about a woman pulled over by the police because her plate was changed and switched. She didn't even know.
I'm going to just start putting some like crazy powder on my stuff. So anybody touch it, y'all gonna have a problem. Some kind of glowing, that's what's going to happen.
Black Beauty, loving the energy. Jill and LaLa, Dr. Vibe, keep it going. I'm just steering the ship. They're driving the ship. I'm just steering the ship. I'm just steering the joint. And they're in full throttle. Like I'm telling you. So let's continue on. Another conversation. This was interesting. Dominion Fox News settlement reached for $787.5 million.
Yeah.
I'm happy, but I have mixed feelings. Because I don't like the fact that we don't know what all was happening in this settlement. What exactly is the settlement?
Right.
There's some things that are being hidden from us. And I hate this. And then again, I'm conflicted with that because I feel like sometimes we don't need to know everything because we don't need to know. But in this case, I do feel like we do need to know. And these so-called apologies that are nothing but just rants about Fox and all that, they're just not acceptable to me. So I have mixed feelings about that. All I see is big money being moved, but I don't see any changes being made behind the money. That's my thought.
I think as someone in media, I would have loved to seen the trial.
Yeah, I have too. But no, we can't get lost here. Fox faces a bigger lawsuit with Smartmatic, another voting systems company, and it's for $2.7 billion. And they've already stated that they want their apology and they want something else very specified about what they feel the issues were to hold them accountable. So this is interesting because all of these other documents were somewhat public, I believe. I don't know how that works and what they could use maybe, but the defamation suit is even bigger. So the odds are looking like if they got them already, then Fox needs to be trying to figure out how to get rid of the 2.7.
So here's my question, ladies. What are your thoughts about Fox not issuing a policy?
I don't think they should have taken the money. Dominion should have said, we'll settle if we do that. Right. Or we're going to keep going.
I also think that it doesn't matter if they're going to give an apology, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
The people who believe in all that mess is always going to believe in that mess. And they're always going to say it was some kind of conspiracy and somebody made them do it. So I don't even, at this point, what does apology mean? Apology used to mean something. But if you think about all the apologies that are floating around now, it's always reflective, like, well, I'm sorry that you feel that way. That's not an apology. So an apology is not worth the weight in gold that it used to be.
Yes. And then that's my truth. Like, no, there is a truth.
Yes.
Like, this is a black shirt. Yep. Well, that's how you see it. No, this is black. Right. We're at that stage with people. Yes. And, people saying, I've had people tell me about my life in certain situations, and I'm like, that's not the truth. Well, that's how you see it. You weren't there. This is the truth, so we're coming up against that. This is my truth. People are forgetting, their fiction twisted with their facts. And it's just, and everybody wants it to be a Real Housewives Bravo situation when you just try to tell somebody, no, this is how we do it. We enter the building over here. Well, I don't enter that, but yes, you will. This is a fact. It's the truth. You got to come through that door. You're going to fly. So, yeah, I think that Smartmatic, though, has said they want to clear their name. I mean, let's not forget, I guess it really depends on how much they're spending on their legal and how much they were affected or impacted financially, because these cases. But like I said, hit.
Okay. And Regina says, I want to watch the trial of Mike, the pillow guy.
Oh, yes. I would love to be a fly on that wall.
I know. He's embarrassing as a man.
Yes, he just is.
He's like a really write-off character in a film that you go, who was that weirdo? Well, that was so-and-so's friend. He got a walk on.
That's right.
Mike, the pillow guy. Well, so Fox will just continue on its merry way.
Yes, like it's doing right now, just fine.
What does this mean for journalism in America?
What journalism?
There's no
Okay.
journalism.
Thank you. Sorry.
Survive. There's people who are writing with crayons and calling themselves journalists. Like, I'm a journalist. I'm a journalist. Well, my brand. Well, my brand is
Exactly.
So like, oh wow.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It's true.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, we are going to end off with this past week, the anniversary of Prince's death.
Yes, it was. What was it? The 20th?
Yes.
21st.
21st.
21st. Yeah, because the 20th is Hitler's birthday, I believe.
Okay.
He was sandwiched between, and the Queen's birthday was on the 20th. And then, I don't know, she had 2 birthdays apparently. Thought she was a Taurus, but they tried to pass her off as an Aries. So I don't know. And then today is Earth Day. So Prince died in between, sandwiched in between some very interesting things.
Yeah.
Jill, thoughts?
I can't believe it's 7 years.
I can't either.
I think that, we miss so many of them. I was thinking about when I was looking at the Debbie Harry show the other day, like all these great contributions that these artists, particularly through this era of time, this spans of, I look at things a lot astrologically, like, wow, it was some impactful moments. These kids, a lot of them were at different eras, Prince, his family. So it was really sad to see that the voice is not as pronounced, and that the estate is struggling and still not representational of him, of his music. They're already going back to court to fight another lawyer. And you know how I feel about lawyers anyway, unless they're really good. But these skeezy ones, I also feel that the judges in Minneapolis are all crooked. There's not one. I'm so sad to say I don't think that any of the family members will be taken care of on a proper, justice won't be served there, because they're all in bed with each other. There's a handful of white attorneys that all knew each other and have worked with Londell. He now knows the circle, and they all know each other. Primary wave, having a piece of it. Justice will never be served, because I had a friend who's been working on something and it just won't be. I'm sorry. I don't think so. It's too racist of a state. I know they have an AG with Keith Ellison, but I don't see anything changing. The downtown area was crap, and it's sad because, you're looking at, like, Blondie has some new releases. And there's things like when you record, like, you make mistakes on a recording, and there's a part like these big bonus records that you can buy of hers and her band, and you'll hear her like stop, start over again. People like to hear those things, but Prince's estate can't even get that together. They can't still humanize him, and now they're all fighting over the fact that Londell McMillan has supposedly garnered 30% from the sisters and brother, when they said that he changed the paperwork and it was only 5% he should have been getting. So, when somebody ends up with a 30% stake, that makes the rest of whatever everybody else has, because there's other brothers and sisters, they have no say. He has the majority, I believe, at this point. So that's disturbing. It's really disturbing that, and then they're not releasing things for the fans. I'd rather see it become a publicly traded company, and the fans have some kind of, with a board and all that kind of stuff. I would rather see something like that, because this is a nightmare. This stuff is just getting old and lost. And
Regina says the estate is a mess.
Dire.
And she also says, and I blame the siblings for not sticking together.
But that was it. Divide and conquer, right?
Yep. I see that every day in real estate. You would think the sweetest families would be okay, but then as soon as somebody passes away, they all become vultures. And it's a shame. And I've had many discussions with my husband. I said, I don't care what y'all do. Sprinkle me in the ocean, sprinkle, feed the fish. I don't care, but don't y'all argue over nothing, because I ain't got nothing for you to argue over.
And the crazy thing is that, family arguments inside a court never get addressed properly because people always want to then suddenly play King Solomon and just split the baby down, like split it, that way. And and not the good, not the way King Solomon resolved it. They just want to split the baby in half and not take into consideration some of the arguments. These are really crazy things. And there's so many people suing the estate at the moment, artists, all sorts of things. There's things that I feel the estate needs to get to the bottom of with new publishing things, measures that are sitting in the vault, and clarifying all the artists who he worked with. Like, did you write this? Were you on this? Did you do this? They need to be doing that kind of administrative stuff because they're just waiting to, it will always be in peril because there will always be somebody from one of our families to, when we may no longer be here, to sue them and say, my mom sang on that, or my mom wrote this, she's got the cassette, blue, blue, blue. So sadly, the estate might always be in peril.
So Jen says, Celebration 2023 prices are absurd, way too high for most people to afford.
And nobody knows who's playing or doing anything.
And then Regina says, how did Alfred sign his share away on his deathbed? And he says, to the primary wave.
To Raffles first. Raffles was this guy who's been around Clive Davis for a long time, and I'm not going to say much more.
Okay, leave it at that. Jill, I know this may be too personal a question to ask, and if you don't want to answer it, by the way, Jen says, Jill, exactly. And you don't have to answer this, but if you want to, I'd be more than happy to hear. Where were you when you heard about Prince's death?
At home. I was on the phone with my daughter. Yeah.
Wow.
I think she was in England and I was here. We were on the phone, and then CNN broke it, and I was like, I hope it's like a gardener who died, because they said a body was found there. So, it was always what perplexing to me that, that there was a lack of like a disciplined, organized unit happening where it's been a mess for a long time, guys. I don't think that the business was being handled, and there was too many opportunities for bad things to happen. And I will always have my personal feelings about how it went down.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you sharing that, because you didn't have to, and I was sort of hesitant about going there or not, but thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, when voices are silenced, it's like you keep, hoping that, oh gosh, karma, all these things are going to stand up and do something about it. But sadly, the last couple of years have made me not believe in that. I've lost my faith. I don't believe that good people finally win. I don't believe that. I just don't. I believe that you've got to watch your back every step of the way in this world, and nobody should ever, and this should be the moment you think your moment that you're in. Don't get all caught up in the pie in the sky and one day we'll all be free. No, those are things that make you go and jump off of a roof because you have an expectation of something. You've got to be hard, and you need to raise your kids about it too. Leave the religion behind. It doesn't satisfy.
LaLa, anything you want to say about the anniversary of Prince's death?
I don't normally, I don't know, it might be just a block for me. I don't normally deal with death dates. I am just not one of those people. I guess that's the Pisces in me now.
No,
I like to celebrate. I like to celebrate their birth, and to me that's what I did. But it's a little hard in this situation because there's so many of us who loved him, and it was very hard for me on that day because my husband and I are always together. And one of the things that put us together in the first place was the love of Prince and his music. And that's such a big foundation of our relationship. And that day, my husband decided he was going to go fishing, and he hadn't gone fishing in years. And so I couldn't get hold of him because he was out on the ocean. But my second person I thought about was my Jill.
Wow.
And I remember texting her and I didn't even know what to say. I just wanted to say, I just wanted you to be okay. So I still struggle with it. I still cry over it a lot. There are many, many times that I do listen to his music and still cry.
Yeah.
But the way that we celebrated was to create songs, and
which have been brilliant.
And so we play those in celebration for him. So I listened to it the other day, and I just sat and boohooed. and that's just the way that I have to be, because he was such a big center of my life. I mean, from a little girl, was the only one in the neighborhood, the only one in the family who was into music. And then him and Joni were my two go-tos. So it's really rough for me. And I actually stayed away from social media that day.
Yeah. I mean, Prince would be really not happy that I'm like, I have no faith and keep your religion away from it, because he really did believe in, Jehovah's Witness faith, as far as I know. However, I don't speak for him in all of that. He said, had faith. He was trying to impart the word and share good things towards the end. And it's so funny. I've started to listen to stuff that I hadn't really listened of his towards the end. Like, oh, okay. I can see where he was going. And I'm learning to appreciate that, because, we had been friends at some one point. Then he went his way, I went mine. It's kind of nice what he did leave behind. And it's wonderful to watch his fans' adoration of him and, that legacy. And I think they are really, maybe, to be honest, the only friends he had in a weird way. I don't think he had any other friends that weren't, like, honestly, in awe of him or on his payroll or wanting something from him.
Yeah.
The saddest part of all is I think they're the people who got him the best, because everybody else, no. We all like have clamored like, oh, and then I did this with him and I did this. And, I feel really bad sometimes to do that, because it's kind of like at the end of the day, he was, regular guy that, I wouldn't answer the phone for sometimes, be like, I didn't care who he was. But celebrity, what it does to a person's life, and then what kind of came after his death. I think now we're getting to the 7-year period, which reveals the real level-headed. There's not everybody pushing a book or a concert, and it's kind of getting to see what remains at the bottom, or floats. What floats.
Okay. Well, that is the end of today's State of Things. And thank you, ladies, as always, for taking the time out of your positive, productive schedule to hang out with
rest,
us.
LaLa.
And just going back, there were some comments we didn't get to, so I just want to get Jen says, wonderful conversation as always, everyone. And earlier on, Regina had mentioned about the documentary Dear Mama about Afina and Tupac Shakur. She also mentioned that there's a lot of Black Panther footage.
Very cool.
Wow.
And also,
Huey Newton helped change my tire or something with me and my friend. Not my tire, my friend's tire. But then he also, we as young girls were having a situation in a Hamburger Hamlet once, and he was
Hamburger Hamlet.
We were teenagers, and my friend is convinced it was Huey Newton, and I was like, yeah. I mean, he intervened in these white dudes that were like bothering us, and it was really, really nice. They were a nice guy, wonderful.
And Cinnamon, I didn't get your comment earlier, but now today, there was another case like that in Florida. 19-year-old Black kid horribly delivered groceries to the wrong house, and he and the girlfriend were shot by the homeowner. So sad. USA going backwards. Wow.
What can you expect from Jurassic Park?
And Cinema says, yes, have
Leave
a game
on the sidewalk and say, your groceries are here. You can pick them up. Bye. Yeah. That's Instacart. Pick them up. Don't go to people's doors anymore. I wouldn't do it. Mm-mm.
Yeah, I hear you. That's knocking on someone's door. It seems to be quite hazardous these days.
That's for the Jehovah's Witnesses.
True. Cinnamon says, have a great week. especially stay safe. I agree with that. Stay safe. Well, before we call it a day, let's get to the real deal. Let's get to how to keep in contact with these lovely people. First things first, LaLa, how can people get in touch with you?
Well, you can find me everywhere at Realty Goddess. That is where you'll find me on all social media platforms.
No matter what country she's in.
Yeah.
All right. Jill Jones?
Jill D. Jones at Twitter and Jill Jones Music at Instagram.
Any more music coming up in the near future?
You know, I've been toying with doing a country album lately. I've been listening to a lot of country. I kind of want to do it. I know.
That'd be cool.
I've been toying with the idea because I found some old songs that I had. I was like, this sounds a little country. Like it would fit today.
Yeah.
And then just create some new things. I don't know. I've been toying with the idea. I haven't really wanted to do something for a while, but it lends itself right now to singing.
All right. Excellent. And myself, if you want to get in touch with me, I'll put it up on the screen. Here you go. Website, the drvibeshow.com. Email, dr.vibe@the drvibeshow.com. YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, The Dr. Vibe Show. Twitter, at drvibeshow. And Instagram, at The Dr. Vibe Show. You can catch replays of this epic conversation at all these places. As I said earlier, Dr. Vibe Show, YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. And also my website, the drvibeshow.com. Thanks everyone who watched live on the replay. It's appreciated and not taken for granted. And as always, a few last things that we want to put up here. If you're up to it, please, if you want, promote your business or service on the Dr. Vibe Show. Contact me at my email address, not my website address, email address, drvibe@the drvibeshow.com. And also, there's another thing I want to put on the screen here, and I'm trying to find it. Subscribe to the Dr. Vibe Show on YouTube and like it on Facebook. If you subscribe on YouTube, make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification button so you get notified on upcoming conversations. So as we close out, there's a few more messages here. Just want to make sure they're in. Black Beauty says, thank you guys for taking the time to bring us all this knowledge. Stay blessed, family. Right back at you. And also, Regina says, peace to all. Right back at you. All right. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get small to get stronger. Block assumptions and aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. Love, faith, and respect. And remember to give yourselves grace. And don't just manage your time, manage your energy. There we go. God bless. Peace. Well, keep the faith. Walk good. We will see you next Saturday. All things being good. All right, family. Be well.